Morning, everyone. Today is July 13th. It's already middle of the month. Well, today's topic, mini seminar topic would be, it's a part of actually a Realtor Code of Ethics. I think everyone is familiar with a Realtor Code of Ethics. The full name of this piece of code is Code of Ethics and Standards of Practice of the National Association of Realtors, we sometimes called NAR. So we need to know both realtors and general public need to know what the realtors are really bound to keep the standard practice to level up our business and our practice of business. Okay, today we want to look into a few points. We cannot cover all of the Code of Ethics in 30 minutes. So mainly number one, definitions of agents, brokers, clients, and customers. And number two, when and how to offer submitted. And number three, can agent represent both sellers and buyer? Number four, misleading seller or buyer when prospecting the representation, meaning the listing or the buyer representation. And NAR come up with this Code of Ethics, of course, a long time ago. And this Code of Ethics consists of total 17 articles. The article number 1 through 9 talks about duties to clients and customers. Article 10 through 14, duties to the public. And Article 15 through 17, duties to the realtors. And today we want to cover article number 1, standard practice 1-1 through 1-8. These articles and standard practice is talking about this mainly 4 points, 4 questions rather. Okay, so this time I want to get into actual Code of Ethics. Okay, this shows the Code of Ethics and Standards of Practice of the NAR, National Association of Realtors. And general public sometimes confused about real estate agent and realtors. Not all the licensees are realtors. The realtor group is similar to like a union in the United States. There are about 1.4 million realtors in US, but again, not all the real estate licensees are realtors. So realtors is a different group. And these groups made this Code of Ethics to level up their standards of practice. So when you have some difficulties, I'm talking to a general public, when you have some difficulties dealing with licensees, first thing you can check is whether you are the realtors, because realtors, they have a specific Code of Ethics, and a realtor should follow exactly what the Code of Ethics is proposing. So there are a lot of, it governs a lot of behaviors of licensees. It governs how to speak and what to speak and basically what to do in general. For example, today we want to take a look at Article 1 and the standard practice 1-1 through 1-1-8. Okay. And also we can show you Korean version of this Code of Ethics. Okay, let's take a look at what it says on the earth. Okay. Article number 1 is like this. When representing a buyer, seller, landlord, tenant, or other client as an agent, realtors pledge themselves to protect and promote the interest of their client. That we know that. Probably as an agent, you hear about this, you heard about this so many times, but Code of Ethics actually specifies. So a lot of conversation, usually we quote this statement out of Code of Ethics. Okay, so this obligation to the client is primary. Of course, our obligation to the client is primary, but it does not relieve realtors of the obligation to treat all parties honestly. Probably you heard a lot of expression also. To treat all parties honestly. This is very important, honestly. When serving a buyer, seller, landlord, tenant, or other party in a non-agency capacity, realtors remain obligated to treat all parties honestly. Well, we understand the clients, because client probably we have agency capacity. But what is non-agency capacity? Well, agency relation is very specific relationships and is legally protected. And non-agency capacity means like some other agreement they can have, like marketing agreement or consulting agreement, etc. Not agency relationship, but still it can be legally non-agency capacity. So what it means is this. You have to, as a licensee, okay, you have to protect your client's interest. Okay, that is primary obligation. But also you have to treat all other parties, buyer, seller, landlord, tenant, and other parties in a non-agency capacity honestly. Okay, so honest is all common obligation. You cannot lie whatsoever. You cannot make a false statement whatsoever. That's Article 1 specification. Okay, and standard practice number 1-1, realtor when acting principals in a real estate transaction remain obligated by duties imposed by the Code of Ethics. That we know that. That's why we're doing this. And the standard practice number 1-2, the duties imposed by the Code of Ethics encompass all real estate related activities and transactions, whether conducted in person, electronically, or through any other means. Also, we know that. And we want to jump into next paragraph. As used in this Code of Ethics, now we're talking about definitions of clients, client and customers, and agent and broker, etc. Client means the person or entity with whom a realtor or realtor's form has an agency or legally recognized non-agency relationship. That's client. So once you have agency relationship with somebody, the somebody is your client. And also legally recognized non-agency relationship. As I mentioned, maybe you can engage with someone with marketing agreement or consulting agreement, etc. Whatever legal paper that you signed with someone also can be client. And when we say customer, is a different. Customer means a party to a real estate transaction who receives information, services, or benefits, but has no contractual relationship with the realtor or the realtor's firm. So who this might be in real situation, as you probably heard many times, let's say you are, as an agent, you are the listing agent. So you represent homeowner. And in this case, the homeowner is your client because you signed up with the seller listing agreement. Okay, so by that, you representing seller and you become a seller's agent. So this is agency relationship established. So the homeowner is your client. But when you do open house, let's say as a listing agent, buyer walks in, okay, and then you have to talk to that person. That person becomes your customer, okay? So with that person, you don't have any agency relationship or legally recognized relationship. So that's you call customer. So customer by definition, who receives information, services, and benefits, but has no contractual relationship with the realtor or realtor's firm. So that's the definition. What about prospect? Prospect means a purchaser, seller, tenant, or landlord who is not subject to representation relationship with the realtor or realtor's firm. So prospect can be future customer or future client. Okay, that's prospect. So right now you got nothing to do with them legally. There's no representation relationship whatsoever, but there is a potential. That's prospect. What about agent? Agent means a real estate licensee, of course, we know that, including brokers and sales associate. So agent, when we say agent, is in real life, typically a company will have an agent, which means a sales associate. And also it includes brokers when they act as an agent, okay? And acting in an agency relationship as defined by state law or regulation, that's an agent. What about broker? When we say broker, because sometimes we're confused with agent and broker. Broker means a real estate licensee, including brokers and sales associate, acting as an agent or in a legally recognized non-agency capacity. So broker is broad definition. Okay, agent means it has to have agency relationship. But broker, when you say it has a broader definition, it includes agency relationship plus any legally recognized non-agency capacity. Also, we call in general a broker. Well, so this code of conduct, in this code of ethics, when they describe this terminology, that's what they mean, okay? Now, standard practice 1-3 says, this now is a real situation. Realtors, in attempting to secure a listing, shall not deliberately mislead the owner as to market value. It's a very short sentence, but it means a lot of things here. Realtor shall not deliberately mislead the owner as to market value. What does it mean? Well, in real life, when agent is trying to get a listing agreement, there can be competition. There are many agencies contacting the homeowner and try to get the listing agreement. So, it's a competing situation among the agencies. Some agent saying, "Oh, I can sell your house at $1 million," while the actual CMA value suggests, CMA studies suggest it's only $800,000. Just in order to get the listing, okay, you state false value of the house. You shall not. That's what this means. So clearly it says you shall not mislead the owner as to market value. Okay, standard practice 1-4, it specifies same thing to the buyer agent. Realtors, when seeking to become a buyer/tenant representative, shall not mislead buyers or tenants as to savings or other benefits that might be realized through use of realtors' services. When you try to set up the buyer agency relationship, okay, buyer agent cannot mislead the savings and other benefits. Well, you can truly state the savings and other benefits if you don't mislead buyers. Okay, that means you should not exaggerate your benefit or using the benefit of using you or savings. Okay, so the problem is misleading the client and prospect. That's an issue. Okay, 1-5, what it says, realtors may represent the seller or landlord and buyer tenants in the same transaction only after full disclosure to and with informed consent of both parties. Well, this is also a very short sentence, but we got into a lot of troubles because of this. The question is, realtors can represent both buyer and seller at the same time, at the same property and same transaction? Well, what about the attorneys? I often have these questions. Attorneys, they represent both the plaintiff and defendant? I never seen. Okay, let's assume in the court situation. Okay, there's a judge, there is a plaintiff representing, the attorney presenting plaintiff, and there's defendant, also attorney representing defendant. Okay, that situation, they make argument and they presented their own cases, but there's only one attorney can represent both the plaintiff and defendant. I never seen that. Okay, but realtors, we may do so. However, only after full disclosure to and with informed consent of both parties. So two things, you have to inform, you have to disclose that I'm going to be representing you at the same time, the buyer, you, okay? But then also you have to get the consent, not just to inform them, not just to disclose, but consent. In other words, seller has to agree and buyer has to agree. Only then the realtors can represent buyer and seller for the same transaction. And also we have a lot of documentation. You have to get the dual agent agreement. If you don't get this dual agent agreement in written, you might get into trouble later on. we have kind of multiple cases. Actually, we had to deal with this kind of situation from the filing complaint. Okay, and practice 1-6, it says realtors shall submit offers and counteroffers objectively and as quickly as possible. Often we have a question. I have a question from a new agent. How soon we have to submit this offer to the owner, and how soon we have to respond to the buyer. Okay, the Code of Ethics specifies, they don't specify like 1 day, 2 day, or 24 hours, etc. But it says as quickly as possible. Now, realtors submit all offers and counteroffers objectively and as quickly as possible. It means sometimes licensees got confused. They can do whatever they want to do with the offers sent from the buyer. In other words, if offer is too low, you saying owner rejected the offer without telling the owner even. Okay, that's wrong. That's violating of Code of Ethics. So objectively, realtors submit all offers to the seller as quickly as possible. And the standard practice of number 1-7 is pretty much the same thing for the, okay, this is a little bit different case. Okay, we want to take a look at. When acting a listing broker, a realtor shall continue to submit to the seller landlord all offers and counteroffers until closing or execution of the lease, unless the seller landlord has waived this obligation in writing. Let's say as a listing agent, you received the offer and the seller accepted. Okay, but now you have to go through a transaction and you have to wait till closing. But during this time, if there is another offer, what are you going to do? You just discard that? No, you cannot do that. Until closing, you have to, if you receive offer, the licensees, the agent has to submit to the owner, the seller, okay, without failure. That's what it's saying. Continue to submit until closing. But if seller says, no, I'm not going to receive any offer anymore in written, then you don't have to submit. Okay? But a realtor shall not be obligated to continue to market the property after an offer has been accepted by a seller. But you don't have to keep doing marketing, okay? Once the offer was accepted, okay? But when you receive offer, still you have to submit to the owner. But you don't have to do active marketing after owner accepted the offer. And realtors shall recommend and seller obtain the advice of legal counsel prior to acceptance of a subsequent offer, except where the acceptance is contingent on the termination of a pre-existing purchase contract or lease. Well, realtors shall recommend, in other words, while you're doing attorney review, okay, some fancy offer came in. Okay, in this case, they have to switch over to new buyer, but definitely you have to recommend the seller to consult attorney because right now it's on the contract. So seller cannot accept the subsequent offer because it becomes a dual contract situation, which is a violation of the law, the contract law. So you have to talk to the attorney. When you accept the subsequent offer, which is much fancier than the offer that you're working on, you have to talk to attorney, obvious. unless that subsequent offer specifies, okay, this offer will be effective after termination of the existing purchase contract. Okay, and number 1-8 is the other case with the buyer case. Okay, so well, while we're looking at this code of ethics sentence by sentence, you will get the real stuff. Usually we just between agency and between agents and between brokers and agent, we just talk and you ask someone else what to do. But if you look at directly, if you look at the code of ethics, then you will learn, really, you will hear from horse's mouth. In other words, you know what's written, and then you will be the main source. Okay. 지금 우리가 짧은 시간에 몇 가지 좀 검토를 해봤는데요. 코드 오브 에틱이 조금 영어로 돼서 좀 지루하지만 읽어보려면 그러나 여러분들이 찬찬히 한번 읽어보면 우리가 보통 프랙티스 하는데 뭐 이렇게 해야 된다 저렇게 해야 된다 얘기들을 많이 하는데 그게 어디에서 근거된 건지를 여러분들이 직접 보실 수가 있다. 그리고 지금 그 한글 버전도 available 하니까 한글 버전 한번 띄워볼까요? 이렇게. 그래서 오늘 한 게 여기 1조 돼 있고요. 뭐 매각자, 매입자 이렇게 돼 있어서 조금 다소 좀 헷갈리는 면은 있지만 그러나 매입자는 바이어고 매각자는 셀러겠죠. 그래서 그런 거를 잘 이제 생각을 해보시면서 한글 버전도 한번 찬찬히 읽어보시면 오늘 한 게 우리가 1-1에서부터 1-8까지 커버를 지금 한 거거든요. 그래서 뭐 중요한 거 몇 가지는 우리가 다 알지만 실질적으로 이게 어디에 써 있는지를 한번 보는 그런 시간이었고요. 여기 그 바이어 셀러를 같이 우리가 represent 할 수 있느냐, 즉 두어를 할 수가 있느냐, 코드 오브 에틱에서는 할 수 있게는 돼 있어요. 단 fully disclose 해야 되고 full consent를 허락을 받아야 된다. 그 written으로 해야지 나중에 문제가 안 생기죠. 두얼 케이스는 센시티브해서 뭐가 삐끄덕하면 불만이 생기고 그다음에 소송에까지 갈 수도 있다. 그래서 굉장히 주의를 해야 된다. 여기 지금 나와 있는 거죠, 그죠? 여기 그 업무기본 1-5에 있었죠. 리얼터는 매각자 및 매입자에게 완전히 알린 후, 또 여긴 빠진 건데, 그런데 그리고 쌍방의 동의를 얻은 후에만 쌍방을 동시에 대표할 수 있다. 이렇게 돼 있고요. 그 다음에 우리 리스팅 받을 때에 주의해야 할 것은 매물 리스트를 확보하기 위해 부동산 소유자가 시장 가치를 그릇되게 이해하도록 고의적으로 유도해서는 안 된다. 이렇게 나와 있어요. 리스팅 프라이스 가지고 막 이렇게 불려서 얘기해서 리스팅을 받으려고 하는 것은 안 된다. 그다음에 바이어 레프레젠테이션도 마찬가지. 당신이 나를 쓰면 뭐가 이롭다 뭐 이런 거를 너무 불려서 false statement를 해서 바이어 representation을 얻으면은 안 된다. 이런 것들이 이제 나와 있게 되고요. 그리고 정의를 좀 얘기를 해봤죠. 의뢰인이란 무엇이냐, 즉 클라이언트가 무엇이냐, 그 다음에 커스터머, 여기 고객이라고 번역했는데요. 고객, 그 다음에 예상 고객, 그건 프로스펙트라고 그러죠. 프로스펙트는 뭘 얘기하느냐, 그 다음에 대리인, 에이전트는 뭐를 얘기하고, 그 다음에 브로커는 뭐를 얘기한다. 이 코드 오브 에틱에서 대리인, 에이전트와 브로커의 차이를 만들어 놓은 거는 대리인은, 에이전트는 에이전시 관계가 있는 사람이로 정의를 했고요. 브로커는 좀 넓은 의미에서 에이전시 관계의 사람을 포함해서 다른 리걸 레프레젠테이션, 에이전시는 아니지만은 리걸리 거래 어그리먼 한 사람들이 있죠. 그 사람들까지 포함해서 브로커라는 그러한 definition을 썼다. 조금 우리가 생각하는 거하고 좀 다른 그런 의미지만은 하여튼 그런 걸 오늘 리뷰를 해봤습니다. Okay. We reviewed the Code of Ethics, focusing Article 1, especially standard practice 1-1 through 1-8 today. And I hope this will help you to organize your thoughts and knowledge when you try to represent your client in the future. Thank you and see you all next week.